In the early 2000s, the working-class neighborhoods of Cleveland looked like countless other communities across the American Midwest. Small houses stood close together along quiet streets. Front porches overlooked narrow sidewalks, and neighbors who had lived there for years often recognized each other by name. Life moved at an ordinary pace. People left for work in the morning, children walked to school, and families gathered in the evenings. Nothing about the area suggested that one of the most disturbing criminal cases in modern American history was unfolding behind the walls of a single house. At 2207 Seymour Avenue lived a man named Ariel Castro. To those around him, Castro appeared like a typical resident of the neighborhood. He was a father, a musician who sometimes played guitar, and a former school bus driver who had once transported children to and from school. Neighbors occasionally saw him chatting outside, repairing his car, or grilling food in the yard. Some people even described him as friendly. Yet beneath that seemingly normal life was a secret that would remain hidden for more than a decade. The first chapter of the tragedy began in August 2002. A young woman named Michelle Knight was 21 years old at the time. Her life had already been difficult. She had faced personal struggles and was dealing with a complicated situation involving custody of her young son. On the day everything changed, she was walking through the city on her way to a court appointment. Like many people in Cleveland, she moved through familiar streets without imagining that danger could appear so suddenly. While she was walking, Castro approached her in his car and offered to give her a ride. He seemed calm and non-threatening. Michelle accepted the offer, believing it would help her arrive at her destination more quickly. Instead of driving her where she intended to go, Castro took her to his house on Seymour Avenue. Once inside the house, everything changed. Castro attacked her and forced her into a room where he restrained her with chains. From that moment forward, Michelle Knight disappeared from the outside world. Police eventually listed her as a missing person. As months passed without answers, many people believed she might have been killed or left the area. But Michelle was still alive. Inside the house, her life became a nightmare. Castro kept her imprisoned in locked rooms, sometimes chained to walls or furniture. He controlled every aspect of her existence. When she could move, what she could eat, and whether she was allowed to speak. Days often passed in silence and darkness. Windows were covered so she could not see outside, and she slowly lost any clear sense of time. For nearly a year, Michelle endured the isolation alone. Then, in April 2003, another young woman vanished. 16-year-old Amanda Berry had just finished her shift at a fast food restaurant and was walking home. Her family expected her to arrive soon, but she never did. Along the way, Castro approached her and offered to give her a ride. Because he was familiar with the neighborhood and had connections to people she knew, Amanda trusted him enough to accept. He drove her not to her home, but to the same house on Seymour Avenue. Once she stepped inside, Kansen sa was he stepped inside, he closed the door and attacked her. Amanda Berry became the second prisoner in the house. When she was dragged inside, Michelle Knight heard the struggle and realized that another person had been brought into the same nightmare. For the first time since her capture, Michelle was no longer completely alone. Outside the house, Amanda's disappearance became a major story in Cleveland. Her family searched desperately for any clue about where she might be. Flyers with her photograph appeared throughout the city. Local television stations reported on the case repeatedly, hoping someone might recognize her or provide information. Inside the house, however, Amanda and Michelle were trapped in conditions that few people could imagine. Castro locked them in separate rooms and maintained strict control over their movements. He often played loud music inside the house so that any sounds of shouting or crying would not be heard outside. The two women slowly began communicating with each other when Castro was not nearby. In quiet whispers, they shared fragments of their lives before the kidnappings. Those conversations became their only connection to the outside world. But the horror was not finished. Nearly a year later, in April 2004, another young girl disappeared from the same city. 14-year-old Gina DeJesus was walking home from school when Castro approached her. He knew her family, which made his offer of a ride seem harmless. Gina accepted the offer, unaware that it would change her life forever. Like the others before her, she was taken to the house on Seymour Avenue. Inside the building, the same terrifying pattern repeated itself. Gina was forced inside and locked away. Now 3 victims were imprisoned inside the house. Over time, Castro transformed the house into a hidden prison. Doors were reinforced with locks. Windows were covered with boards and curtains so no one could see inside. Sometimes Castro chained the women to walls or heavy furniture. Other times, he locked them in separate rooms for days. Neighbors occasionally noticed strange details about the house, such as the boarded windows or loud music playing late at night. But nothing seemed clearly alarming enough to prompt a full investigation. For years, the terrible reality remained hidden behind those walls. Inside the house, the 3 women endured physical abuse, psychological control, and constant fear. Castro determined when they would eat and when they could use the bathroom. Punishments could be severe if he believed they had disobeyed him. Despite these conditions, the women formed a bond that helped them survive. They spoke quietly whenever they could, encouraging each other not to give up hope. Michelle Knight, who had endured the longest captivity, often tried to comfort the others during moments of despair. Time passed slowly. Months turned into years. One of the most painful aspects of their captivity involved pregnancies resulting from Castro's assaults. Michelle Knight became pregnant several times, but each time she was violently beaten until she lost the pregnancy. These experiences caused severe injuries and emotional trauma. Later, Amanda Berry also became pregnant. When the time came for the baby to be born, Castro forced Michelle to assist with the delivery. There were no doctors, no medical equipment, and no proper support. The situation was extremely dangerous. Castro threatened Michelle, warning her that if the baby died, he would kill her. During that frightening night, Michelle helped Amanda give birth to a baby girl inside the house. The child survived. The presence of the child changed the atmosphere slightly. For the women, caring for the baby created moments of hope in an otherwise dark environment. They tried to protect and comfort the child as best they could. Meanwhile, outside the house, the families of Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus continued searching for answers year after year. Their cases received national attention, and many people across the country followed the story. As time passed, however, hope began to fade for many observers. Some believed the girls had died long ago. Inside the house, the women continued to wait for any opportunity to escape. Years passed. 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. The routine inside the house rarely changed. Castro came and went, maintaining strict control over the building and the women inside it. The outside world continued to move forward, unaware that 3 missing women were still alive only a short distance away. Then, in May 2013, something unexpected happened. On May 6th, Castro left the house and did not properly secure one of the doors. Amanda Berry noticed that the door was not fully locked. Realizing that this might be her only chance after nearly 10 years of captivity, she tried to push the door open. It would not open completely, but there was enough space for her to call out. She began shouting for help as loudly as she could. A neighbor walking nearby heard her voice. Curious and concerned, the neighbor approached the house. After realizing that someone was trapped inside, he helped force the door open enough for Amanda to squeeze through. For the first time in nearly a decade, Amanda Berry stepped outside the house. She quickly ran to a nearby home and asked to use the phone. In a call that would later become famous across the country, she contacted emergency services and told the operator that she was Amanda Berry, the girl who had been missing for 10 years. Police officers immediately rushed to the address. When they entered the house, they discovered Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus still inside. All 3 women were rescued that day. The discovery shocked the entire nation. News outlets across the United States reported that 3 missing women had been found alive after nearly a decade of captivity. Soon afterward, Ariel Castro was arrested. Investigators examined the house and documented the conditions in which the women had been held. Evidence revealed the full extent of the crimes that had taken place inside the building for more than 10 years. Later in 2013, Castro appeared in court in Cleveland. Prosecutors charged him with hundreds of crimes related to kidnapping, assault, and unlawful imprisonment. Facing overwhelming evidence, Castro eventually accepted a plea agreement. The court sentenced him to life imprisonment plus more than 1,000 additional years in prison. The case seemed to reach its conclusion with that sentence. However, only a short time after being placed in prison, Castro was found dead in his cell after taking his own life. While the man responsible for the crimes was gone, the survivors began the long process of rebuilding their lives. After years of captivity, even simple activities required adjustment. Walking outside without fear, sleeping in a room without locks, and interacting with strangers all felt unfamiliar. The emotional scars of the experience could not disappear overnight. Yet the survival of Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus became a powerful story of endurance. Despite unimaginable suffering, they had survived years of imprisonment and eventually regained their freedom. Their story remains one of the most shocking criminal cases in modern American history, a reminder that terrible secrets can sometimes exist hidden behind ordinary walls in the most ordinary neighborhoods.